One of the greatest travesties is that men have tried to transform logic, or the art of reasoning, into a course of study about rhetoric, and how to deliver logical speeches and debates, and refute another's arguments. Most logic courses teach only a narrow aspect of logic, and they focus on certain mechanics of logic in order to frame arguments and rhetoric, often without any real knowledge of the question. True logic is an understanding of the right use of reason in the inquiry after truth, not solely for the sake of argument. The light of nature, a good judgment, and due consideration of things with discernment, is closer to true reasoning than all the trappings of mood, figures, and mechanics of rhetoric. True logic and syllogism is primarily to help guide us in making proper decisions and discernment in life. For example, music is an emotional language. Some emotions are bad for Christians. Therefore, there is some music not for Christians. Connective syllogisms are those that require two or more ideas to be connected, so that if one of them is affirmed or denied in one of the propositions, common sense will naturally show us what will be the consequence. For example, meekness and humility always go together. Moses was a man of meekness. Therefore, Moses was also humble. Pharaoh was not a humble man. Therefore, Pharaoh was not meek. Or, Joseph and Benjamin had one mother. Rachel was the mother of Joseph. Therefore, she was Benjamin's mother also. These syllogisms are seldom deficient or faulty in the form of them, for they are generally obvious to common reason. Our chief concern in these cases is to make sure that the major proposition is true, since the truth of the syllogism depends on it. Compound syllogisms are those that are made up of two or more single syllogisms and may be resolved or broken down into them. An epicharima is a syllogism which contains the proof of the major or minor, or both, before it draws the conclusion. This is often used in writing, in public speeches, in common conversation, so that each part of the discourse may be confirmed and put out of doubt as it moves forward toward the conclusion. For example, sickness may be good for us, for it weans us from the pleasures of life and makes us think of dying. But we are uneasy under sickness, which appears by our impatience, complaints, groanings, etc. Therefore, we are uneasy sometimes under that which is good for us. A dilemma is an argument which divides the whole into all its parts or members by a disjunctive proposition, and then infers something concerning each part, which is finally inferred concerning the whole. For example, in this life, we must either obey our vicious inclinations or resist them. To obey them will bring sin and sorrow. To resist them is laborious and painful. Therefore, we cannot be perfectly free from sorrow or pain in this life. A dilemma becomes faulty or ineffectual three ways. First, when the members of the division are not well opposed or not fully enumerated, for then the major is false. Secondly, when what is asserted concerning each part is not just, for then the minor is not true. And thirdly, a dilemma may be retorted with equal force upon him who utters it. In other words, it can be used against you. For example, there once was an instructor who taught a young man to be a lawyer, with the condition that the lawyer would pay the instructor a reward when he won his first case. After a long while, the instructor finally took the lawyer to court in order to get his money, and he used this dilemma: either you will win the case, or I will win the case. If I win, the court will make you pay, and if you win, you will have to pay me according to your bargain. Therefore, whether you win or lose, you must pay me the reward." However, the lawyer answered back with his own dilemma. "I will either win the case or lose it. If I win the case, then according to the sentence of the judge, I will owe you nothing. And if I lose the case, then I will owe you nothing from our bargain because I did not win. Therefore, whether I win or lose, I will not pay you, for nothing will be due you." That is an example of a dilemma, which divides a whole into all its parts or members by a disjunctive proposition, and then infers something concerning each part which is finally inferred concerning the whole.